DILLIAN the Body Snatcher White here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
So the Body Snatcher, DILLIAN WHYTE, has said that he fully expects that before his career is over, that him and Anthony Joshua could end up fighting 3 or 4 times. Now, of course, they've already fought once in the pro, and Anthony Joshua won that one, and they fought once in the amateurs where DILLIAN WHYTE won that one. Now, in their minds, whether you agree with it or not, it's a 1-1 score. That's in their minds, in both of them. And they want to upset the apple cart, if you like, tip the scales, and they both want that one more fight. Now, of course, what DILLIAN wants to do is he wants to go grab another belt, and it seems that the only one that's going to be available now is the WBC, and so therefore he wants to get that belt and then go fight Joshua again, because he's bringing more to the table. In other words, he gets more money. Why not? You know, it is a business for all these guys. Now, as of right next, you've got Anthony Joshua. He's going to be taking on Joseph Parker for a unification fight. And Joshua will be defending his IBF and Super WBA titles. And it will be for Joseph Parker's WBO heavyweight title. So, of course, he could become a 3 champion. He could have 3 belts plus the IBO. They haven't quite decided what they're going to do about the IBO yet. But either way, that's not one of the main belts. So he just needs one more to pick up, which would be the WBC, to become undisputed. Currently, that is Deontay Wilder, who of course is facing Luis Ortiz on March the 3rd. Now, 1 week before Joshua takes on Joseph Parker, on March the 24th, you have DILLIAN WHYTE. He's going to be fighting Big Daddy Lucas Brown, and that will be the O2 Arena. Still tickets available. Contact DILLIAN WHYTE. As I said before, the prices are £200, £100, £80, £60 and £40. Contact him. You could send him a private DM over on Instagram. That's what he wants you all to do. So do that. Go get yourself some tickets. Now, should he beat Lucas Brown? I fully expect him to. But of course, anything could happen. It is heavyweight boxing, right? But of course, let's just assume that he's going to beat him for argument's sake. Then he should be, in theory, the mandatory for the WBC, Deontay Wilder's belt. And then the WBC will be calling for the mandatory to be fulfilled by the summer. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. Should Deontay Wilder be successful against Luis Ortiz, which is not a given, of course. But if he is successful, then they're talking about fighting him in the summer. But of course, as you've seen in my earlier video there with Jaron Miller, who knows what's going on there over at Matchroom right now. I don't know whether we're being lied to or what, or people just talking. I have no idea. But facts are, if DILLIAN WHYTE becomes a mandatory and the WBC order that fight, okay, unification does take precedence, okay? The WBC will say, okay, if you want to fight Joshua and Joshua's okay with this, then you guys can fight. But what Eddie Hearn's going to do is he's going to say, well, hang on a minute. Why would I do that when I can have DILLIAN WHYTE fight Deontay Wilder? So therefore, yeah, sorry Wilder, we're going to fight Povetkin or Miller, and therefore you are now going to have to fight your mandatory DILLIAN WHYTE, my guy, and see how you get on. If DILLIAN WHYTE was to beat Deontay Wilder, become a WBC heavyweight champion, there will be no rematch clause, so no waiting around, because it's a mandatory. And of course, Wilder won't get paid anywhere near the $4 to $5 million that he's already been offered. It'll go to purse bids, and he'll be lucky to get 2 or 3 million from the mandatory. So really, Wilder, you should have took that fight when you had the chance. But if DILLIAN WHYTE was to win, he could then fight Anthony Joshua for the undisputed. Now, wouldn't that be interesting? So this could well be one of those fights here in Britain that we see this 2 or 3 times, potentially 4 times. If Anthony Joshua and DILLIAN WHYTE was to fight next for the undisputed, I think regardless of who won, they would be quite willing to fight again at some point. This seems to be a grudge that will never ever die until probably they get a bit older and they retire. Then they'll probably sit around, have a cup of coffee, shake hands and talk about old times. But until that time comes, it's going to be a forever thing. So drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you on the next video.